be kept throughout the meet, and the team with the most cumulative points at the end of all 6 events will be declared the winner of the meet.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome into another edition of the Bobcat Sports Network. Jack Calhoun bringing the action here for this acrobatics and tumbling meet between the Long Island Sharks and your Frostburg State Bobcats. Take a look at the competition format here according to the NCATA. Meet makeup, as the NCATA acrobatics and tumbling meet will include 6 events and a total of 20 heats. Competition order, teams compete head-to-head, alternating turns on the mat in each heat. And as always, kind of like other sports, the visiting team competes first in each heat. The first half includes a compulsory event followed by the acro and pyramid events. Then we'll have a 15-minute halftime break. And then in the second half, after halftime, is the toss event, the tumbling event, and the team event. And that was Long Island's routine for the acro heat. Let's take a look at that replay on the Bobcat Sports Network. So event number 1 will be the compulsory event. There's 40 possible points to gain, and there's 4 heats in each portion. We're currently in the acro heat, which we just saw Long Island participate in, and we will see Frostburg State momentarily. There'll be 2 groups from each team that participate in the acro heat. Fun fact, this is the only event in which teams will perform the exact same skills. Compulsory skills are considered the building blocks for collegiate acrobatics and tumbling, and serve as a foundation for teams to build on when selecting optional skills for other events. Continue that momentarily, and we'll now take a look at Frostburg State's acro heat. And that was Frostburg State's demonstration. Let's take a look at the replay here on the Bobcat Sports Network. So now we will move on to the pyramid heat of the compulsory event and give scores whenever applicable.
And we move on to our second heat of the compulsory pyramid heat. First off the board is Long Island.
So here comes Long Island's demonstration. And let's take a look at that replay on the Bobcat Sports Network of the routine there from Long Island. And now we will look to see Frostburg State's pyramid heat.
Next up in the pyramid heat is Frostburg State.
Let's take a look at that replay here on the Bobcat Sports Network of the pyramid heat from Frostburg State. Now we'll move on to the toss heat between these two squads. And now we send it down to see Long Island's routine for the toss heat. And let's take a look at the replay here. And now we wait momentarily to see Frostburg State's attempt in the toss heat.
Next up in the toss heat is Frostburg State.
And let's take a look at the replay here on the Bobcat Sports Network. Frostburg State's routine there for the toss heat. And now we'll move on to the fourth and final heat of the first compulsory event, which is the tumbling heat. Tumbling will include 8 student athletes from each team. It includes standing, tumbling, and running tumbling.
First on the floor is Long Island.
Let's take a look at the replay here on the Bobcat Sports Network. Now let's take a look at the replay. And so now we will take a look at Frostburg State as they get ready to prepare to execute their tumbling heat in the final portion of the first event, which is the compulsory event. And now that'll be it for the compulsory event. We'll take a look at the replay here. And as we tally up the scores here, we'll go ahead and present event number 2 to you. As there will be a 3-heat event for the acro event. There's 30 possible points. There's 3 heats for each one. For instance, the 5-heat element, which will maybe a group of 4 student athletes. The 6-element heat, the group of student athletes of 4, and another group of 4 student athletes for the 7-element heat. 45-second time limit for each heat, and each heat has a required number of elements and must include a specific level of skill difficulty. Teams create their own sequences to make the heat requirements, allowing teams to select skills based on their strengths. Overall difficulty comes from the connection of the skills in the sequence or the ability to maintain control, continuity, and stability throughout. Keys to good execution include strong body position at the top, stability from the base, and maintaining balance. And after a neck-and-neck battle here in that first compulsory event, Frostburg State has a score of 36.950, and Long Island has a score of 36.400. Very close contest here through the first event. Still 5 events to go.
Frostburg with a score of 8.35. For the event, Long Island with a score of 36.40. Frostburg with a score of 36.95.
So here comes heat number 1 for Long Island in the acro event. And let's take a look at the replay of that routine. And now we move on to Frostburg State's routine for heat number 1 of the acro event, the 5-element heat. And let's take a look at the replay of that routine here on the Bobcat Sports Network. So now both squads will move on to heat number 2 of the acro event, which will be the 6-element heat.
Moving to our second heat, which is the 6th element. First off on the floor with a starting value of 10 is Long Island.
Let's take a look at the replay there on the Bobcat Sports Network. And now, Frostburg State ready to take the mat for Heat 2 in the 6-element heat of the acro and tumbling event.
Next up in the 6-element, starting value of 9.9 is Frostburg State.
And we'll take a look at the replay here. And so now we'll move on to the third and final heat in the acro event, which is the 7-element heat.
And we're moving to our final heat of the acro event, which is the 7-element. First up on the floor with a starting value of 10 is Long Island.
And that was the routine there for Long Island. And we'll take a look at the replay here on the Bobcat Sports Network. just beating the clock there is Frostburg State on their routine. And we'll take a look at some of the replay from their routine. And now, while they tally up the scores for event number 2, we'll talk to you a little bit about event number 3. There'll be 3 heats in the pyramid event. You have first the inversion heat, which is must include an inverted position. You have the synchronized heat, 2 groups performing identical pyramids. And lastly, the open heat. No specific requirements, allows for plenty of creativity. 45-second time limit on each heat, as always. May include a varying number of student athletes. Pyramids are 3 levels, each of which include an entry, structure, and a dismount. Difficulty comes from the combination of the entry, structure, and dismount, as well as the position at the top. A few things officials will be looking for: stability of the structure, a hold by the top for 3 seconds following the entry, and a smooth dismount that ends with either a catch or landing. That's what we'll be looking for here in event number 3. After we tally up the total scores. And once we get those scores, we will make sure to share those with you. So far, it's been a back and forth affair here between Long Island and Frostburg State. So now we do have the official scores here as we get ready to move on to event number 3. Very close between both squads. Long Island closing the gap a little bit here. And in fact, it's between .050 points so far. Frostburg currently leads the overall match 64.600 to 64.550.
Frostburg with a score of 9.50. And the 6th element, Long Island with a score of 9.05. Frostburg with a score of 9.10. And the 7th element, Long Island with a score of 9.35. Frostburg with a score of 9.05. For the event, Long Island with a score of 28.15 brings their running total to 64.55. Frostburg with a score of 27.65 brings their running total to 64.60. And with that, we are ready to begin our pyramid event. Our first heat is the inversion heat. First over the floor with a starting value of 10 is Long Island.
And that was the routine there for Long Island in this first portion of the pyramid event. Let's take a look at the replay here. And so now we'll move on to the inversion heat for Frostburg State.
He's a pro, Nina. What are we talking about?
Next up in the inversion heat, with a starting value of 10 is Frostburg State.
And that was Frostburg State's demonstration there for the inversion heat. Let's take a look at the replay here. And while they're tallying up the scores, we now will move on to the synchronized heat, which is two groups performing identical pyramids. Let's take a look at the replay here for Long Island. And now we will prepare for Frostburg State's iteration of the synchronized heat.
Next up in the synchronized heat with a starting value of 10 is Frostburg State.
And that was Frostburg State's iteration there. And let's take a look at the replay here. So after that, we'll move on to our final event, our final heat of this third event, which is the open heat. There are no specific requirements. It allows for plenty of creativity. It'll be our final heat before our halftime intermission.
First up on the floor with a starting value of 10 is Long Island.
And that was the replay there of Long Island's routine for the third and final heat of the pyramid portion, which was the open heat. And now we patiently await the Bobcats to take the mat for their iteration of the open heat in this third event of the pyramid event.
And finally, the open heat with a starting value of 10 is Frostburg State.
And that was the display there for Frostburg State in the open heat of event number 3, the pyramid event. And we'll take a look at the replay here. And so that's going to do it here for the first half. We're going to go to our 15-minute intermission timeout. We'll be back to start off the second half here in a little bit and tell you the updated scores. We'll be right back on the Bobcat Sports Network. Welcome back to the Bobcat Sports Network. Jack Calhoun bringing you the action here from this acrobatics and tumbling meet between the Long Island University Sharks and your Frostburg State Bobcats. Halftime score, your Bobcats trail 93.500 to 92.750 to the visiting Sharks from Long Island University. It's been a tight, contested back and forth event. And I'll tell you what, folks, it's sure more than likely to continue into this second half. First up, we'll have the fourth event, fourth of sixth. That'll be your toss event. It'll be 3 heats. First heat will be the 450 salto heat, which is a group of up to 5 student athletes. Then you'll have the synchronized heat, 2 groups of up to 5 student athletes. And lastly, the open heat, which will be a group of up to 5 student athletes. Tosses include 3 to 4 bases and 1 top, who executes a twist, a flip, or both in the air before being caught. Timing is essential in this dynamic event. Keys to good execution include the height of the top when executing her skill, the extension of the top off the bases and again before being caught, and the catch position. In the catch, the top should maintain a hollow body position, nearly flat. If the top's heads or toes are much more higher than their hips, the catch may be deducted. The top should also be caught near the base's shoulders. Catching too high or too low may result in deduction. So we'll keep that in mind here.
And we are ready to begin our second half of the toss event. Our first heat is the 450 salto toss.
An untimed heat.
The starting value of 9.3 is Long Island.
So that was the first heat there for the toss. Take a look at the replay here. And now we will prepare for Frostburg State's 450 salto heat. come your Frostburg State Bobcats. And let's take a look at the replay there of that demonstration here on the Bobcat Sports Network. So now we'll move on to the second heat of the toss event, which is the synchronized heat. Two groups of up to 5 student athletes. And let's take a look at the replay here on the Bobcat Sports Network. And now you will prepare for Frostburg State's entry of the synchronized heat in the toss event.
Next up in the synchronized heat with a starting value of 9.4 is Frostburg State.
And here come the Frostburg State Bobcats. Let's take a look here at the replay. And so now we'll move on to the third and final heat in event number 4 of the toss event, which is the open heat. It's be a group of up to 5 student athletes, and it allows for creativity. And so that was the Sharks routine. Let's take a look at the replay there. And so now we'll take a look at Frostburg State as they prepare for the open heat.
The starting value of 9.5 is Frostburg State.
Let's take a look at the replay here of Frostburg State's routine. So let's discuss, next will be the penultimate event, which will be event number 5, the tumbling event. 60 possible points here. There's going to be 6 heats. You're going to see a duo, which is 2 student athletes, a trio, which is 3 student athletes, a quad, which is 4 student athletes. Then you'll see an aerial, an individual pass, 1 salto before final salto and pass, a 6-element heat, which will be the individual pass, 6 elements only. And finally, the 6th and final heat will be the open element, correction, the open heat, which will be the individual pass and no other requirements.
And we have our scores from the toss event. In the 450 salto toss, Long Island with a score of 7.75.
So now we have updated our scores, and Frostburg State is closing the gap little by little as it is tight down to the wire here after event number 4. Long Island still leads, but they lead 118.650 to 118.550 by 1/100th of a point. It's coming down to the wire here.
With a score of 8.70. For the event, Long Island with a score of 25.15 brings their running total to 118.65. Frostburg with a score of 25.80 brings their running total to 118.55. And with that, we are ready to begin our tumbling event. First up is the dual pass, and first on the floor with a starting value of 9.55 from Long Island, number 15, Logan Lombardi, and number 21, Michaela Steele.
We'll take a look at the replay here of the duo. Excellent execution there. And now we will prepare for Frostburg State's duo entry.
Next up in the dual pass, with a starting value of 8.6 from Frostburg State, number 5, Mia Ivanov, and number 8, Bailey Minifield.
And that was Frostburg State's entry there into the duo heat. Take a look at the replay here.
to our trio pass. First
So now let's go on to the trio event.
8.35 from Long Island. Number 1, Christina DiVincenzo. Number 6, John Guardiola Dispense. Number 10, Taylor Jackson.
So now, after taking a look at that replay, we'll now look to see Frostburg State come out and attempt the trio heat.
Next up in the trio pass with a starting value of 8.75 from Frostburg State. Number 21, Julia Welch. Number 32, Marion Pastori. Number 39, Grace Whaley.
And let's take a look at the replay here of the trio heat. A little bit of a stumble on the far side, but nearly perfect. And now we'll move on to the third heat of event number 5, which will be the quad event. Correction, quad heat.
And moving to our final heat of these synchronized passes, which is the quad pass. First one to the floor with a starting value of 8.75 from Long Island. Number 3, Jalen Wright. Number 4, Lila Campbell-Stephen. Number 16, Megan Davis. Number 42, McKenna Guidish.
And now we'll take a look at the replay of Long Island's routine here. And now we will prepare for Frostburg State in their entry into the quad heat.
And finally, in the quad pass, they
And let's take a look at the replay here.
And we now move into our individual tumbling passes. First up is the aerial pass, and first on the floor with a starting height of 9.55 from Long Island, number 42, McKenna Guidage.
So here comes event number 5, the aerial. Almost stuck a perfect landing there. Let's take a look at the replay here. And so now we'll prepare for Frostburg State's aerial heat, which is a combination of an individual pass, one salto before the final salto in pass.
Next up in the aerial pass, with a starting value of 8.6, running Frostburg State number 8, Bailey Minifields.
Good landing there, and now we'll take a look at that again. Now we move on to the 6 element heat, which must include an individual pass. And it's only allowed to have 6 elements. Excellent display there by Long Island, and we'll take a look at the replay. Now we will prepare for Frostburg State's entry into the 6 element heat.
Next up in the 6 element pass, with a starting value of 8.6 from Frostburg State number 32, Marianne Pastori.
An excellent landing on the end of that routine, and we'll take a look at the replay here. now we'll move on to the 6th and final heat of event number 5, which is the open heat, which is an individual pass. Other than that, no other requirements.
And we're going to our final heat event, which is the open pass. First one before with a starting value of 9.55 from Long Island, number 21, Michaela Steele.
We'll take a look at the replay here of that open event, heat. And now we'll prepare for Frostburg State's 6th and final heats here in the tumbling event, which will be the open event. The only requirement is you must have an individual pass. So then take us into our 6th and final team event, which is a one-heat event. We'll talk about that after Frostburg State's routine here in the open heat of event number 5.
And finally, in the open pass, with a starting value of 9.75 from Frostburg State, number 5, Mia Ivanov.
Good landing on the other side. And let's see how Frostburg State did. And so that'll be the end of our 5th event of the tumbling event. Now we move on to our 6th and final event. It is a one-heat event, and it is the team event. 110 possible points here. The routine has a maximum of 24 student athletes. The requirements include 30 acro elements. 4 groups must synchronize a 3-element sequence. That's worth 20 points. There must be 5 tosses. 3 must be synchronized. That's worth 20 points. 4 pyramids. 2 must be synchronized. That's worth 20 points. 21 standing tumbling passes, 12 must be synchronized. 20 points is what it's worth. As well as 21 running tumbling passes, 12 of which must also be synchronized as well, and that is also worth 20 points. And finally, there must be a dance, minimum of 2 8 counts, which is worth 10 points. So teams will perform synchronized choreographed skills in a 2-minute, 45-second routine set to music pulling together all the skill categories you've seen in the previous events. Routine contains required skills and optional skills. Start value is based on the difficulty of the skills selected to fulfill requirements. Execution deductions are the same in this event as in the previous events. Larger deductions are applied if an athlete falls or does not complete a skill.
In the duo pass, Long Island with a score of 8.65.
In team event, officials are generally watching 1/3 of the mat, but following all tumbling passes that originate in their section of the mat to completion. Teams submit a diagram prior to the meet and outline the order of skills and placement on the mat to ensure officials can clearly see all skills. Teams walk through their routine during warm-ups. This allows the officials to confirm sightlines in preparation of evaluating the event in real time during a team event.
Frostburg with a score of 8.45. In the 6th element, Long Island with a score of 8.25. Frostburg with a score of 8.325. And in the open pass, Long Island with a score of 9.05. Frostburg with a score of 9.15. For the event, Long Island with a score of 49.325 brings their running total to 167.975. Frostburg with a score of 47.525 brings their running total to 166.075. With that, we are ready to begin our team event. First on the floor with a starting
go for the team event for Long Island. And that was Long Island's entry into the sixth and final event, which is your team event. And as they tally up the scores, we'll get you caught up on the score. Currently, it is 167.975 to 166.075 in favor of Long Island. Frostburg State's going to need a big finishing team event to make the comeback.
And finally, with a starting value of 98.25 for Frostburg State Bobcats.
And now it's time for the final event, final entry of the evening as Frostburg State prepares for the team event. So we will have take two here. Maybe the third time will be the charm. And that was the team event for Frostburg State. Let's take a look at some of the replay of that. You can tell both sides worked on their routines a whole bunch. I'll tell you what, folks, it's been a wild day around athletics today. Several home events today. We were at doubleheader softball earlier this afternoon. We had acro and tumbling today. A lot of great things in athletics happening around Frostburg State this weekend, even though it's starting to become spring break. So I believe we have the scores in. And we do, in fact, have our final scores in.
We'd like to thank both teams for providing us great competition today and for their competitive spirit all throughout today's meeting.
So after taking a look at the final score, Frostburg State will put up 243.125 points, but sadly it's not going to be quite enough as Long Island was able to put up 250.075 points. And so Frostburg State is going to fall to 3-3 on the year, while Long Island will improve to 2-4 and continue their road trip here in this portion of the country. Folks, we thank you for tuning in to all of our athletic streams today. It means so much to us have you guys listening here on all of our broadcasts here on the Bobcat Sports Network. But that being said, we sign off one final time today alongside all the fine men and women behind the scenes here at the Bobcat Sports Network. My producer, Max Bourne. I'm Jack Calhoun signing off saying have a great night. God bless, and go Bobcats.